Welcome to the Discourse Analyzer AI Toolkit, where articles come alive. You're listening to the audio version of our article. For the full text and an interactive experience, check out the link in the description below. Interact with any selection using our AI assistant to enhance your understanding. Let's explore.
The goals of the study in discourse analysis. The goals of a study in discourse analysis are to uncover how language is used in social, political, and cultural contexts to construct meaning, shape identities, negotiate power relations, and maintain or challenge ideologies. Unlike traditional linguistic analysis, which focuses on the structure of language, syntax, grammar, etc., discourse analysis examines language in use, emphasizing the interaction between language and society. The goals of discourse analysis vary depending on the specific research focus, but generally, they include understanding how language functions in various communicative contexts, exploring its social implications, and critically examining how discourse shapes and reflects societal structures. Core goals of discourse analysis. The following core goals are typically central to studies in discourse analysis, helping researchers explore the intricate ways language operates in social life. Point 1. Uncovering meaning-making processes. One of the primary goals of discourse analysis is to understand the meaning-making processes involved in communication. This involves examining how people use language to convey, negotiate, or contest meanings in different contexts. Researchers focus on the social construction of meaning, recognizing that language does not simply reflect reality but actively shapes it. Example: a discourse analysis of news coverage about immigration might explore how terms like illegal or undocumented shape public perceptions of immigrants. The goal is to reveal how language choices contribute to broader social attitudes and policies. Point 2. Exploring power relations. Discourse analysis often aims to reveal how language is used to construct, maintain, or challenge power relations in society. Language is a key tool for reinforcing social hierarchies and legitimizing authority, but it can also be a means of resisting and subverting power. By analyzing how language reflects power dynamics, discourse analysts seek to expose the subtle ways in which social inequalities are reproduced through discourse. Example: a study of political discourse might examine how politicians use language to position themselves as authoritative figures while marginalizing the voices of dissenting groups. The goal is to reveal how discourse functions as a tool for legitimizing political power. Point 3. Understanding the role of ideology. Another common goal in discourse analysis is to uncover how ideologies are embedded in language use. Ideologies are systems of beliefs and values that shape how people understand the world, and they are often subtly encoded in discourse. Discourse analysis helps researchers identify the ways in which language reinforces or challenges dominant ideologies, providing insights into how social norms, beliefs, and practices are maintained or contested. Example: in an analysis of advertising discourse, a researcher might explore how consumerism is promoted as a way of life through the use of persuasive language. The goal would be to reveal the ideological underpinnings of marketing strategies that frame consumption as a path to happiness or success. Point 4. Examining identity construction. A key goal in discourse analysis is to explore how identities are constructed and negotiated through language. Whether at the individual or group level, discourse plays a crucial role in shaping how people understand themselves and their social roles. Discourse analysts study how language constructs personal, social, national, or cultural identities, and how these identities are negotiated in interaction. Example: a discourse analysis of workplace communication might examine how professional identities are constructed through language, exploring how employees use specific linguistic markers to align themselves with organizational values or hierarchies. Point 5. Investigating social practices and cultural norms. Discourse analysis often seeks to understand how language reflects and shapes social practices and cultural norms. Language is both a reflection of society and a tool for shaping it, and discourse analysts aim to uncover the ways in which language reinforces or challenges established social behaviors, norms, and values. Example: a study of discourse in educational settings might explore how teachers and students use language to reproduce or challenge traditional norms around authority and knowledge transmission, with the goal of revealing how education as a social practice is enacted through discourse. Point 6. Revealing framing and representation. Discourse analysis also aims to explore how specific topics or issues are framed and represented through language. The framing of an issue involves selecting certain aspects of reality and highlighting them while downplaying or omitting others. This goal is especially important in media and political discourse, where the framing of issues can significantly influence public opinion. Example: a discourse analysis of climate change reporting might examine how the issue is framed as either a crisis or controversy, revealing how different media outlets shape public understanding and urgency around environmental policies. Broader goals of discourse analysis. While the core goals of discourse analysis are focused on language and its social implications, broader goals often involve linking language use to larger social, cultural, or political objectives. Point 1. Social change and empowerment. Many studies in discourse analysis are aimed at promoting social change by uncovering how language perpetuates inequality and by providing insights into how these discourses can be challenged. Critical discourse analysis, CDA, in particular, is driven by a commitment to social justice, aiming to empower marginalized groups by exposing and deconstructing oppressive discourses. Example: a discourse analysis of gendered language in advertising might aim to challenge the ways in which women are objectified in media. The broader goal of the study would be to promote gender equality by encouraging a shift in how women are represented in public discourse. Point 2. Cultural understanding. Discourse analysis also seeks to promote cultural understanding by analyzing how language reflects the beliefs, values, and practices of different cultural groups. By studying cross-cultural communication and the discourses that shape cultural identities, discourse analysts aim to deepen understanding and bridge divides between different social groups. Example: a discourse analysis of diplomatic language in international relations might examine how cultural differences shape communication strategies between countries, with the goal of improving cross-cultural dialogue and reducing miscommunication in global politics. Point 3. Highlighting marginalized voices. A common goal in discourse analysis is to highlight marginalized voices and perspectives that are often excluded or silenced in mainstream discourse. This involves examining how language either includes or excludes certain groups, and how marginalized groups use language to resist domination and articulate their own experiences and identities. Example: a discourse analysis of LGBTQ+ activism might explore how marginalized communities use language to challenge dominant narratives about gender and sexuality, with the goal of amplifying voices that have been historically oppressed. Methodological goals in discourse analysis. Beyond its social and political objectives, discourse analysis also has specific methodological goals related to how researchers approach language data and interpret its meaning. Point 1. Systematic analysis of language use. A primary methodological goal of discourse analysis is to systematically analyze language use in context. This involves closely examining how linguistic features, such as word choice, syntax, and metaphor, are used in specific social interactions or texts to produce meaning. Discourse analysts aim to uncover the rules and patterns governing how language functions in different contexts. Example: in a discourse analysis of courtroom interactions, the researcher might systematically examine how lawyers and judges use questions, directives, or interruptions to establish authority or control the flow of conversation. Point 2. Contextualized interpretation. Another methodological goal of discourse analysis is to provide contextualized interpretations of language. Discourse cannot be fully understood without considering the social, cultural, historical, or political context in which it occurs. Researchers aim to analyze how the broader context influences the meaning and function of discourse. Example: a discourse analysis of political speeches during a time of crisis, e.g., a pandemic, might focus on how the social context, fear, uncertainty, and urgency, influences the language used to reassure the public and build trust in government policies. Point 3. Multi-level analysis. Discourse analysis often aims to conduct a multi-level analysis of language, focusing on both micro-level interactions, e.g., specific conversations or texts, and macro-level social structures, e.g., societal norms, ideologies, and power relations. The goal is to link specific language practices to broader social phenomena. Example: in an analysis of media discourse, a researcher might examine the language used in individual news reports, micro-level, while also exploring how these reports reflect broader ideologies about race, class, or national identity, macro-level. Examples of goals in discourse analysis. Example 1. Analyzing political rhetoric to understand power dynamics. Goal: to explore how political leaders use language to construct authority, persuade voters, and marginalize opposition groups. The study might focus on rhetorical strategies such as framing, metaphors, and appeals to emotion. The broader goal is to reveal how political discourse shapes public opinion and reinforces political power structures. Example 2. Investigating media discourse on refugees. Goal: to examine how refugees are represented in media coverage and what ideological assumptions underlie these representations. The study might aim to uncover themes of victimization, criminalization, or humanitarianism, with the broader goal of challenging negative stereotypes and promoting more inclusive narratives. Example 3. Understanding gender and identity in workplace communication. Goal: to analyze how gendered identities are constructed and negotiated through language in workplace settings. The study might focus on how linguistic choices reflect or challenge traditional gender roles, with the broader goal of promoting gender equity and inclusion in professional environments. Conclusion: the goals of a study in discourse analysis are multifaceted and depend on the specific research context and theoretical framework. At its core, discourse analysis aims to uncover the social, political, and cultural meanings embedded in language use, exploring how discourse constructs identities, reflects power relations, maintains ideologies, and shapes social realities. Whether seeking to understand meaning-making processes, reveal power dynamics, or promote social change, discourse analysis offers rich insights into the ways in which language interacts with society, culture, and identity. Through systematic, contextualized analysis, discourse analysts provide valuable contributions to our understanding of how language functions as a tool for both communication and social action. Frequently asked questions. What are the primary goals of discourse analysis? The primary goals of discourse analysis are to uncover how language is used in social, political, and cultural contexts to construct meaning, shape identities, negotiate power relations, and maintain or challenge ideologies. It emphasizes understanding how language functions in various communicative contexts and critically examines how discourse shapes and reflects societal structures. How does discourse analysis differ from traditional linguistic analysis? While traditional linguistic analysis focuses on the structure of language, such as syntax and grammar, discourse analysis examines language in use. It looks at the interaction between language and society, focusing on how language is used in real-world contexts to produce social meaning, construct identities, and influence power dynamics. Why is uncovering meaning-making processes a goal in discourse analysis? Understanding the meaning-making processes is crucial because language does not simply reflect reality, it actively shapes it. Discourse analysis seeks to examine how people use language to convey, negotiate, or contest meanings. This can reveal how specific terms and phrases contribute to broader social attitudes and influence public perceptions. Example: analyzing news coverage of immigration to see how terms like illegal or undocumented affect public attitudes and policy discussions. How does discourse analysis explore power relations? Discourse analysis examines how language constructs, maintains, or challenges power relations in society. By analyzing how language reflects power dynamics, researchers can expose the subtle ways social inequalities are reproduced through discourse, such as positioning authoritative figures and marginalizing dissenting voices. Example: investigating how political leaders use language to establish authority and marginalize opposition in political discourse. What role does ideology play in discourse analysis? A key goal in discourse analysis is to uncover how ideologies are embedded in language use. Ideologies shape how people understand the world and are often encoded in discourse. Discourse analysis reveals how language reinforces or challenges dominant ideologies, contributing to the maintenance or contestation of social norms and beliefs. Example: analyzing advertising language to show how consumerism is promoted as a way of life, reflecting and reinforcing capitalist ideologies. How does discourse analysis contribute to understanding identity construction? Discourse analysis explores how identities are constructed and negotiated through language at both individual and group levels. It examines how language shapes personal, social, national, or cultural identities and how these identities are negotiated in various interactions. Example: analyzing workplace communication to understand how professional identities are constructed and how employees use language to align with organizational values. What are the broader social goals of discourse analysis? Beyond its linguistic focus, discourse analysis aims to promote social change, Uncover how language perpetuates inequalities and suggest ways to challenge oppressive discourses. Enhance cultural understanding. Explore how language reflects cultural beliefs, values, and practices to bridge divides between social groups. Highlight marginalized voices. Amplify perspectives often excluded or silenced in mainstream discourse, showing how marginalized groups resist and articulate their experiences. Example: analyzing LGBTQ+ activism language to highlight marginalized voices challenging dominant narratives about gender and sexuality. How does discourse analysis examine framing and representation? Discourse analysis investigates how topics or issues are framed and represented through language. Framing involves selecting and highlighting certain aspects of reality while downplaying others, influencing public perception and opinion. Example: studying climate change reporting to see if it is framed as a crisis or controversy, affecting public understanding and urgency around environmental policies. What methodological goals are central to discourse analysis? Key methodological goals include systematic analysis, closely examining linguistic features, e.g., word choice, syntax, to uncover patterns of language use in context. Contextualized interpretation, providing interpretations of discourse that consider social, cultural, historical, or political contexts. Multi-level analysis, linking micro-level interactions, e.g., specific texts, to macro-level social structures, e.g., societal norms, ideologies. Example: in analyzing courtroom discourse, systematically examining how lawyers and judges use language to establish authority. Can discourse analysis promote social change? Yes, discourse analysis can promote social change by revealing how language perpetuates inequalities and suggesting ways to challenge oppressive discourses. Critical discourse analysis, CDA, in particular, is committed to social justice, aiming to empower marginalized groups by deconstructing dominant discourses. Example: analyzing gendered language in advertising to challenge how women are objectified and promote more equitable representations. How does discourse analysis help in cultural understanding? Discourse analysis helps in cultural understanding by analyzing how language reflects the beliefs, values, and practices of different cultural groups. By studying cross-cultural communication, it fosters understanding and bridges divides between different social groups. Example: analyzing diplomatic language in international relations to understand how cultural differences shape communication strategies between countries. Why is the contextualized interpretation important in discourse analysis? Contextualized interpretation is crucial because discourse cannot be fully understood without considering the broader social, cultural, historical, or political context. This approach allows researchers to explore how the context influences the meaning and function of language in discourse. Example: analyzing political speeches during a pandemic to understand how social context, fear, uncertainty, influences the language used to build public trust.